Have you ever stared at a piece of paper that felt heavier than a tombstone? I found it crumpled at the bottom of her purse, a receipt from a hotel I'd never heard of, nestled between a tube of lipstick and a pack of gum. It was from the Peninsula, Chicago, dated for a Tuesday afternoon when she was supposedly at a regional sales meeting. The charge was for a 2-hour DU's room paid in cash. 2 hours. My mind snagged on that detail, replaying it, stretching it, until it felt like a lifetime. The air in our quiet Lincoln Park brownstone suddenly turned thin, cold. Every breath was a struggle, a sharp little pain in my chest. I stood there in the foyer, the setting sun casting long shadows across the hardwood floor, and I knew, with a certainty that felt like a physical blow, that my life was a lie. The woman I had promised forever to was a stranger, and this little slip of thermal paper was the key to unlocking a world of deceit I never imagined I was living in. If you genuinely enjoy our stories, please subscribe to the channel. Tell us where you're from and what time it is right now. It's always fascinating to know how far our story flows. For a week, I said nothing. I watched Sarah move through our home, a ghost in the machine of our marriage. She'd kiss my cheek in the morning, her lips cool, her eyes already somewhere else. "Big day, honey," she'd say, adjusting the collar of my shirt, her touch feeling like a brand. The strange behavior had been there for months, a slow-creeping ivy of distance. Her phone, once left carelessly on the kitchen counter, was now her constant companion, clutched in her hand like a rosary. Calls at odd hours were always work, her voice dropping to a whisper as she'd step out onto the balcony overlooking Clark Street. She started talking about a new colleague, Mark, a real shark in the finance department. The way she said his name, with a little flick of admiration, sent a shiver down my spine long before I had any reason to be suspicious. The discovery was a slow, agonizing burn. It started with the receipt, but it didn't end there. I was a man possessed. One night, after she fell asleep, her breathing deep and even beside me, I picked up her phone. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely unlock it. Her password, our anniversary, felt like a cruel joke, and there it was. A thread of messages with Mark. Hundreds of them. They weren't just flirty. They were a detailed chronicle of their affair. Dinners at Gibson's bar and steakhouse, drinks at the aviary and the hotel. "Your skin was so soft today," one of his messages read. "Can't stop thinking about that room." I had to physically clap a hand over my mouth to keep from screaming. I scrolled, my thumb moving mechanically, each message a fresh stab wound. They mocked me. They called me the warden, Mr. Predictable. Sarah, my Sarah, wrote things I couldn't reconcile with the woman I knew. She was cold, manipulative, and dripping with a venomous arrogance. They felt untouchable, laughing at me from the glowing screen in the darkness of my own bedroom. That was the night I broke. I stumbled into the bathroom and stared at my reflection in the mirror. The man looking back was a hollowed-out shell, his eyes wide with a pain so profound it was almost silent. The humiliation was a physical weight, pressing down on my chest, making it impossible to breathe. I saw every moment of our 10-year marriage flash before my eyes, every sacrifice I'd made, every time I'd put her first. It all felt like a lie, a carefully constructed stage play where I was the fool. I slid down the cool tile wall, my body racked with silent sobs. The love I had for her curdled into something else, something cold and hard and sharp. It was in that moment, on the cold bathroom floor at 3 a.m., that the grief died and something else was born. A quiet, methodical rage. Revenge wasn't just a thought. It became the only thing that made sense. The next morning, I was a new man. The broken husband was gone, replaced by a strategist. I started gathering proof. I used a software to clone her phone's data to my laptop, a live feed of her betrayal. I documented every text, every call log. I hired a private investigator, a grizzled ex-cop who met me in a dingy diner in the Loop. He was expensive, but the photos he delivered a week later were priceless. Sarah and Mark, kissing in a parking garage on Wacker Drive. Sarah and Mark, holding hands as they walked into a hotel. Not the Peninsula this time, but the Waldorf Astoria. He even got bank statements, showing cash withdrawals that matched the dates and times of their trysts. I filed every piece of evidence in a locked safe in my home office. A growing arsenal against the woman who slept beside me every night. I set my traps with the patience of a spider. I opened a new bank account and began quietly moving my personal funds. I consulted with the sharpest divorce attorney in Chicago, a woman known for her ruthlessness, and put her on retainer. I was building a cage, and Sarah had no idea she was already flying into it. The public exposure was the final act. Sarah's company was having its annual awards gala at the Drake Hotel. It was the biggest night of her professional year. Mark was set to receive the Salesman of the Year award. Sarah was glowing, dressed in a shimmering gown, holding my hand, the perfect picture of a supportive wife. She felt invincible. During the cocktail hour, I excused myself. I found the event coordinator, and with a calm smile, handed him a USB drive. A little tribute for the Salesman of the Year, I said. Surprise. As Mark walked onto the stage to a round of applause, the massive screens behind him, meant to show a slideshow of his achievements, flickered.
Oh.
And then it began. A photo of him and Sarah kissing in the parking garage. A screenshot of a text, "The warden will never know." Another photo, this one of them walking into the Waldorf Astoria, hand in hand. The room fell silent. The applause died. I watched Sarah's face. The color drained from it, her smile frozen, then crumbling into an expression of pure horror. Her eyes darted around the room, finally landing on me. I stood at the back, my expression unreadable. I just gave a slight, almost imperceptible nod. The CEO was on his feet, his face a mask of fury. The social and professional destruction was instantaneous and absolute. The aftermath was a quiet, cold storm. She was fired the next day, as was Mark. The divorce was brutal and swift. My lawyer used the mountain of evidence to enforce the infidelity clause in our prenuptial agreement, leaving her with nothing. Our friends, who had seen the public humiliation, sided with me. She was ruined, a pariah in the city where she had once been a rising star. I sold the brownstone. The last time I saw her, she was moving her things into a small, sad apartment in a run-down part of town. She tried to speak, to rage, to cry, but no words came out. There was nothing left to say. I now live in a minimalist apartment downtown, with a view of the Chicago River. The city lights glitter, but they offer no warmth. Sometimes late at night I pull out that crumpled receipt from the peninsula. It's the only thing I kept. It sits on my desk, a silent monument to the day my world ended, and a new one, colder and emptier, began. The end.